Even the climate talks have gone football crazy. World leaders were given a yellow warning card after Copenhagen. Here in Bonn, they were in danger of a red sending-off card, according to the outgoing UN climate chief speaking to Al Jazeera.
What I was trying to indicate is that the pledges that we have on the table are insufficient to meet the scientific goals formulated for 2020. In other words, we need more ambition in the short term and a clearer agenda for the longer term.
Delegates have made progress here, rebuilding trust after what many saw as an undemocratic stitch-up between a clique of countries at Copenhagen. But the targets are still not radical enough for some developing countries in the front line of global warming. They want a commitment to a temperature rise of no more than 1.5 degrees centigrade.
We want to tell the people that countries like Bangladesh or say Mozambique, countries like say Lesotho or say Rwanda or say Cambodia, Laos, these people should be rescued to come out of any risk of climatic changes, adverse impacts.
But more ambitious targets are being resisted by oil-rich countries. The new UN climate chief is even more pessimistic than her predecessor. Cristiana Figueres said she believed it would take until 2050 to build the kind of consensus necessary to eventually tame greenhouse gases. To the alarm of campaigners, ensuring financial backing from rich countries emerging from global recession is proving tricky.
There's no money on the table to pay the climate bill. There's a little bit of fast-track finance, but that's actually most of it recycled aid, so that's a problem.
The next crucial summit is in Mexico at the end of the year, but even then, binding agreements may prove elusive.
Well, Tim, tell us a little bit more about these angry protests that there have been over certain countries which are blocking those new temperature targets.
Yes, this sprung from the fact that one of the big rows that engaged the conference in the closing stages was an attempt by the Small Islands Alliance to try to get a temperature rise of 1.5 degrees centigrade taken as a benchmark to which other countries, the whole of the delegates here, in fact, would try to strive for. Now, Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich countries objected to this. They say it would jeopardize their exports and they would not support that. So under the UN rules here, because they objected, the whole thing fell. It didn't succeed. The islanders were very annoyed, disappointed. They say they will keep trying. But one of the protests, and of course there are always these fringe protests going on at conferences like this, seem to involve someone taking the official Saudi Arabian symbol, marking out where their delegates were, breaking it and dumping it in a toilet here. Now, great offence was taken. There is now an investigation underway, an official UN investigation into that. So you can see that obviously they are discussing hugely important issues here, but what might appear to be minor irritations can suddenly blow up into rows that are being investigated in an official sense by the UN.
Yeah, arguments and tensions continuing about this subject. What chances then of progress at that summit in Mexico later in the year?
Well, the developing countries say they want some kind of binding agreements there because they are running out of time. These countries, of course, regard themselves as being in the front line of global warming. They are feeling its worst effects. Others are saying, including the outgoing UN climate chief, that he doesn't really think, given the state of negotiations at the moment, that we'll see really binding agreements until South Africa next year. But the clock is definitely ticking here. What I think this conference, or this interim conference, if you like, has managed to achieve, it's managed to re-establish some trust. As it was described to me, people are now talking to each other rather than at each other. It's taken some doing because I think there was a lot of ill feeling after Copenhagen, and of course that was compounded by some figures, official UN figures about the rate of glacier melt that were proved to have been misinterpreted by UN scientists. No one doubts the underlying science, but that's taken some effort to try to redress. But I think finally, perhaps, they've got back on track, but it's still going to take some time.
All right, Tim Friend reporting from Bonn. Thank you.